A cuck is someone whom you should look down upon and despise, but also understand and feel sorry for. Let me explain. See, a cuckold, right, is a guy who allows his woman to fuck other guys, right? There are many kinds of cucks in this world. It's not only the guy who allows his woman to fuck other men. It's also the man who sort of like allows others to step all over him, okay? The word has changed and evolved into covering basically a man who is passive in the face of adversity. But why is it that the word cuck, from cuckold, is gaining such currency? What's the root cause of this? Because it seems a little odd, say 5 years ago, nobody was talking about cucks, right? But now we talk about cucks all the time. Everybody knows exactly what we're talking about. Why is it? Why is it? Why is that happening now? And the reason is obvious, Kimosabi. See, what's going on is the deregulated sexual marketplace. You see, right now, the top 20% of men have sexual access to most every woman. And the top 80% of women, okay, the women from the top 1% all the way to the 80th percentile, they are all chasing that top 20% of the men, right? And so the bottom 80% of the men, right, the guys who are not that attractive, they have to work pretty goddamn hard. Now, the men in the percentile between, say, 21 and 50, yeah, they have it okay. They really have to struggle to get a woman, right? But it's that middling to lower percentile, that say, roughly from, say, the 35, 40 percentile on down. Those guys, they are going to be goddamn lucky to get a woman. And the women know this. And so because of this, these women, they will treat their men like shit, and they will step out on him and say that they are simply exploring their sexuality. So you think about it. A guy who's middling to lower middling, he's on the, say for the sake of argument, he's on the 50th percentile, right? He doesn't have anything really much going for him. And he found a woman who's also at the 50th percentile among women, right? But she is pursuing the top 20% of the guys, and those guys are willing to fuck her. Sure, why not? They're not going to have a relationship with her, but they'll happily fuck her, right? And so what happens to you who are at that 50th percentile? You'll think to yourself, well, I got this girl, right? And I want her in my life. I want to have a relationship with her. And she wants to have sex with other men. Men who are more successful sexually than I am, higher up on the totem pole. And so what should I do? And you're going to come to the rational decision, the rational conclusion, because it is rational. You're going to say to yourself, well, I really want a relationship with this woman, so I'll just put up with her if she decides that she wants to sporadically fuck other men. I will be a cuck if I need to, in order to hold on to a woman. That's what you're going to say. Think how soul-destroying that is for a man to calmly and rationally think to himself that in order to hold on to a woman, he has to allow this woman to sleep with other men. Think how I cannot believe it. Personally, it's something that I would never do. And that's the point of this video, see? I would never do such a thing, even if I were in the 50th percentile, even if I were at the very bottom of the sexual hierarchy. I would never do that because it is soul-destroying to a man. And that's why you should never do it. Never. Because if you're a guy who's lower in the sexual totem pole, you might come to a moment where you think that you have to do this. You have to allow the woman you are in a relationship with to have her fun or explore her sexuality or some nonsense like that, because you're going to be so afraid of losing her. You're going to say to yourself, I prefer to have her occasionally fuck other men in order to have a relationship with her. because I am more afraid of loneliness than of having my woman fuck some other guy. You're going to make that rational calculation. And I'm here to tell you, man, that is a recipe for suicide, for your suicide. And not only your suicide, no, it's something worse than death, which is that your soul will be destroyed. Who you are as a human being will be annihilated if you make this decision. And like I said, it's the rational decision. It's the rational decision if you're not that sexually attractive. I mean, we're all fairly realistic about where we are on the sexual totem pole. And we all know more or less where we stand. And yes, of course, our standing in the sexual marketplace varies depending on different factors. But we all know if we're sort of like higher up, middling, or lower. We all know that, okay? And sometimes it's a bitter lesson that we have to acknowledge. And sometimes we're just delighted because, you know, we're on top of the heap and yay for us, right? But, you know, the bitterness when you realize that you're not at the top, you're not even in the middle, you're kind of like at the bottom, and that whatever relationship you happen to get, you're going to be lucky to have gotten it. Yeah, because of that realization, you will be tempted to compromise. Compromise by willingly ceding to a woman who, you know, she's acting in ways that are logical given the state of the sexual marketplace. She will want to have relationships with guys who are higher up on the sexual totem pole because that's what women are hardwired to do. They want to mate with the most attractive guy. They want a relationship with the most attractive guy, with the best guy, a permanent relationship, and they will have his children and form a family with him. They want that, they need that, that's what's built into them. But if they can't have that permanent relationship with that high status man, they will be happy to be, frankly, their cum dumpster. They will be happy to be such a person. And they will maneuver and manipulate the low status guy that she is with, you. They will manipulate you and sort of like sweet talk you into accepting this. Don't accept it. Just do not accept it because you will hate yourself forever. And a key and important and inviolable piece of you will be destroyed forever because of this. You know, recently there came out some girl has 4 husbands, some 20-year-old fatty. I mean, God, she's a porker, right? Not quite a land whale, but I mean, getting there. She's got 4 guys, right? And they appeared in the Daily Mail. I'm not going to put up a picture of it because I don't want like a copyright strike or any nonsense like that. But she had these 4 guys, and they're 4 losers. Just look at the guys, right? They are low-value men. But these low-value men, they made the rational decision, man. They figured, well, I can't get a girl on my own, so I might as well just share a quarter of this semi-land whale and have some sort of a semblance of a relationship because I'm low on the totem pole. They decided to do this. And you have to ask yourself, what kind of psychic damage have they inflicted on themselves by accepting this situation? What kind of psychic damage, what kind of soul-crushing misery did they inflict on themselves by participating in this degeneracy? Huh? Do you want to be one of those guys? Huh? Look, I understand if you're a low-value guy in the sexual marketplace that you can get desperate. I can understand that. Believe me, because I've been low man on the totem pole in the past. Sure, I know how it is. I know how miserable and lonely you can get, and how you are willing to sacrifice anything, including your dignity, in order to have something, someone who gives a little bit of a fuck about you. It's perfectly normal. But you have to resist that temptation to give in like that. You have to resist it with your entire being, because giving yourself up to such a situation, being a cuck, a willing cuckold, is beyond the pale. You do not want to be that man. You will hate yourself. And of course you will despise and grow to hate with a burning fire the woman who has forced you into this situation. And it's a recipe for disaster, if not outright violence. Not kidding around. Yeah. It's not something that you want. It's something that you want to avoid. It is better to be alone and miserable for the rest of your life than to give in to something like this. This kind of willing cuckoldry. You do not want a part of that. You want no part of that whatsoever. Not even a little bit. A lot of feminists, a lot of our society say that it's okay. That if a woman wants to explore her sexuality, then her man should accept that. Fuck that noise. A woman says to me that, she wants to explore her sexuality. I say, sure, go and explore the sexuality outside of my house, outside of my view. You and I are no longer together if you want to fuck some other guy. Simple as that, okay? That's what you do. And if you are afraid that she'll leave, good riddance to bad rubbish, brother. I mean, come on. If the woman you're with cares more about some other dick than about staying with you, then it's worth it to you for her to leave. Never forget, it is better to keep your dignity intact and be alone than to be with someone that makes you hate yourself. It's as simple as that. And this goes for men or women, by the way. It is better to be alone, to be lonely, to be heartbreakingly lonely, than to be with someone that you feel that they are just acid on your soul and that it's just eating away at you and that you will become nothing. It is better to be alone. Never forget that and never be afraid of that, of making that decision, of marking that line. Never be a cuckold. Never.